Well, Dolan's had a little bit more than a little carbonation. His was pretty bubbly.
His was bubbly.
Could have been the pour.
That was the
Pour.
pour.
Inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast. Each week, we'll open a few beers, talk about the brewery and the style of beer, and then dive into some research curated specifically for each episode. In the end, we hope each one sounds like a conversation you'd have with your friends while enjoying a few cold ones.
Welcome to a festive episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
Oh, I'm Brian.
And this week, week one of Octoberfest, possibly one of my favorite beer times of the year.
I like that there's multiple choices and that this is just maybe possibly one of your favorites. Okay.
Yes.
I'm down for that.
Yeah. So first up this week out of 4, Octoberfest from Goose Island.
Okay.
And the only reason why I chose this is we just did Sam Adams.
Yeah, we did.
And this is the second soonest one that I could find in the stores.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So nothing special. Otherwise, I mean, I enjoy me some Goose Island. I like Chicago, and so I figured let's give a shot to their Octoberfest here.
I think we need each one of these. We brought some special glassware in today.
I think yeah.
I thought I had 3 of these. I dug through to find these 3 Oktoberfest mugs, and then the process of hunting, I ended up finding about 4 more that I didn't remember I had. So
there we go.
I don't need to buy any more of these.
No,
But I probably will.
So I'm fascinated as you're pouring here. I'm fascinated by the whole Octoberfest thing, like where it came from, and I hope as we get through these 4 different episodes, that you talk about that a little bit, so I learn a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're not getting to that today. I can tell you that.
Okay.
But we have a little bit for us, some tidbits.
Dolan,
I'm gonna pour this all in here for you, okay, buddy?
Okay,
Dolan,
sounds good.
You think you can handle a whole beer?
I can handle, yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
We'll just, yeah. Yes.
If it's not working, we'll take it away from you.
You got some foaming foam going on
Yeah, it was
there.
a bad pour.
Yeah, it looks like one of my pours.
Because I'm using my left hand.
There we go.
I think that's what it is.
So I'll give you a little bit of background here. There isn't a ton of information online.
Why do you think that is, Rich?
Maybe because of who owns them now.
Oh, what?
Yeah, but we'll get to that part too.
Okay.
So Goose Island Beer Company is brewed in Chicago, still brewed in Chicago, Illinois. So where it all started for them, they opened a single brew pub in 1988 in Lincoln Park. So if you're familiar with Chicago, the very first Goose Island was in Lincoln Park.
Is that where the fountain is from?
The Married with Children,
Yeah.
I believe, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Lincoln Park
Lincoln
Zoo. Remember the Lincoln Park Zoo?
Yes.
Is it the same Lincoln Park, the hide your
Not
kids,
the-
hide your wife?
The band?
No, the guy, the meme guy.
The meme guy. Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Is that from Lincoln Park?
Yeah, he said everybody out here in Lincoln Park is...
Maybe.
Could be.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't
I
know.
don't know. We'll have to do some research on that.
I figured
yeah.
you were instantly going for the band thing, Dolan. And
No.
That's where you were going.
No.
So
R.I.P. Chester.
That's true.
Okay.
So founded by John Hall, he went on a trip to Europe and drank a whole bunch of different beers and thought, you know what, we need this in America. And so he started with his brother. His brother Greg was the head brewmaster, who left shortly after the sale that we'll talk about here at some point. So I don't want this to be the focus of it at all. I
boy.
really don't, because I really do enjoy Goose Island beers a lot. But I mean, it is something that we will talk about.
Hey, it's part of the facts, right?
Yeah, exactly. So his original intent, and I love this about him, his original intent was to be Chicago's beer.
Yeah.
That's it. He just wanted to be Chicago's beer.
Well, you know what? It's the second biggest city in the United States?
Is
it?
it? Yeah.
Second or third? That's a pretty big goal, I would say.
You got the best baseball team in the world playing there. So.
The White Sox do play there.
Oh gosh.
Zing. It's not like they said, I'll be Valentine, Nebraska's best beer. They said, you know what? Let's go for Chicago. The Windy City. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're drinking this. Okay. Come on, Dolan.
We might as well as I talk through some of this, because there's a fun fact about this after we get into it. This is a nice,
lightly sweet,
light,
malty in color. Yeah, not unpleasant.
Nope. I could I could drink
I
a
could
lot
drink
of
a
this.
lot of that too. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the 23 IBUs, 5.7
Yeah.
ABV?
Pretty standard fare, but boy,
Yep.
this is approachable for everybody. It's
Yep.
got that just a little bit of sweetness that might get a non-beer drinker to enjoy that one.
There's a little bitterness at the end, just a little bit. You can feel it.
Yeah. You know what's kind of scary? Sorry, Dolan. This would be what some people consider a dark beer. They would be like, oh, I don't drink dark beer because look, it doesn't look like a normal beer.
Because it's so caramely colored.
That could scare some
It
folks.
could. Do not let that scare you away from an Oktoberfest. Because as my beer journey started, it was about this time of year anyway. And I thought, I don't like dark beers. We've gone through this before. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
That was my mindset or whatever. And for whatever reason, I gave it a chance. And it was the Sam Adams Oktoberfest. It was just the first one. And it's on tap everywhere. And I'm sure if you're in Chicago or you're anywhere in the northern part of the country, Goose Island Oktoberfest will be on as well.
Yeah, I would think you're right. What you got, Dolan?
I'm wondering what's giving it, like, is it a spice flavor? Like, you can smell it, and it's definitely there in the aftertaste.
Is that the Marsden? Is that what
That's the style.
the style?
That's the
Yep.
style of beer, yeah. It's probably the malt is what you're getting. It's like a roasted-y.
malt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
That's
I
probably
don't know,
what
it
it is.
was different. That was something I noticed right away.
I love Oktoberfest beers, man.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Here's a little fun fact.
Okay.
One of my favorite actresses from TV was a hostess at the original Goose Island brew house, brew pub, whatever, when she was in college. She was on the X-Files. They have two beers named after her.
Really?
One's called Jillian and the other is called Scully.
Really? I did
Yep.
not know that.
Gillian Anderson was a hostess there. Now, she claims that she doesn't remember when she worked there, but she worked a lot of different places, and she was just going to school. But if you ask John Hall, he definitely remembers because it was Gillian Anderson.
Kind of, is that creepy? I don't know if that's creepy because this is pre-fame.
I would-
This is some college girl.
Well,
I love you. I got 2 beers named after you. I don't know. I mean, I feel like isn't she a little bit older?
Yeah.
And this opened when? 80 what?
88.
I don't know.
I
don't know if the
verified
math checks
it.
out.
I verified it there was an article.
Okay.
Was
That
that
was-
Wikipedia?
It was not Wikipedia. So it was on Wikipedia originally. I thought, okay,
Sure.
let's
see
go
the
check
source,
this out.
yeah.
And so if you Google Gillian Anderson Goose Island, you get multiple articles about her working there.
I didn't know she was from that area. Or where'd she go to school? Northwestern?
She went to school I don't remember. I think that's right, but I don't remember.
Okay.
So, brewery was built in 1995 and has since doubled its size. I thought this is fascinating now. So, currently, the packaging line can bottle 500 cases per hour.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's more than some breweries are making in like a year.
In a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The keg line can do 50 kegs per hour. 50 kegs per hour. So that means it's just over a minute per keg. That filling them up.
the amount of volume that they have is incredible. Just to be able to do that. I mean, let alone actually make it happen, but to have the product to do that, crazy.
I wonder how are you filling kegs that fast? Because if I pour my beer too fast, there's foam everywhere. How are you filling a keg that fast? Controlled environment? I mean, I guess is it?
Probably
Just very carefully.
just and that's it.
And they-
I'm sure it's a mess.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a little bit of spillage,
probably a lot.
a sticky. Ooh, I would not want to have to clean that floor every night.
No.
Thank you.
I just watched a video where they were back in the brew room, and he opened up the
Yep.
I don't know what you call it, but the wheel thing.
Yeah,
and
that was
beer
here.
went.
That was here in
everywhere.
Omaha.
Was
That
that
was.
here?
Yeah.
Where was that?
That was.
Or should we not say?
I think that was Brickway.
Oh,
Yeah, because it went all out. It looked like real foamy.
yeah.
Yeah, that was I think a Brickway a couple weeks ago.
That's awesome.
They said it like went all over the women's restroom because it was, I guess, right
Right by there.
behind the wall there. Yeah.
And it was hot too. That's why the guy stepped out of
It
the
was
way
like
a little bit.
steaming. Yeah.
Yeah, that was here in Omaha. That
Yep.
video.
So the last little bit of info. So two different locations. They're in Chicago and Philadelphia now. The last little bit here is sadly in 2011, Goose Island sold to Anheuser-Busch for $38.8 million.
I feel like they could have got more money than that.
I think
Nowadays.
so too. Nowadays, yes. So only 2011. So maybe if you just hung on just a little bit
Man,
longer.
that's probably one of the first major sellouts
Yes.
of this, if you want to call it that.
I
Purchase it and like build your brewery up and then sell it, make a bunch of money.
I don't hold it against him, though. I get it. I totally do, right? And
Yeah.
he did what he wanted to do. He became Chicago's beer. Goose Island
Yeah.
is Chicago's
Check
beer.
that off the box there.
As much as there's, Budweiser and, Wrigley Field is, just covered in Budweiser or whatever, there's plenty of Goose Island there, too. You can get it
There's a Goose
virtually
Island at
everywhere.
Kauffman Stadium.
Yeah.
Royals play. I saw it there.
Virtually every. I don't blame him one bit. Do I like that they sold the InBev? Meh.
Yeah, but
What
in
do
the
you
end of
do?
it, in the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect us really.
Well, did the beer change at all?
I wouldn't think so.
Hey, do you
It's
remember?
probably distributed more. I can tell you the first time I ever had a Goose Island beer. It
Okay.
was in Chicago,
Okay.
and I went up there to go to the United Center to go to a U2 concert.
Okay.
So this was around 2000, 2001
Oh, okay.
for that tour.
Way back. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Was
And
that the
It was at a steakhouse. It was like a kind of a famous steakhouse.
Harry Carey's?
It wasn't that one, but it was something like that. Like they had caricatures on the walls, famous celebrities, Chicago celebrities and sports people and stuff. It's like what you think of like a fancy steak place to be.
Sure.
And we went with, it was me and my wife now, and then two people that we worked with. We went up there, and I had Goose Island for the very first time. And I think it was their Belgian white, so their wheat beer basically.
Oh, okay.
Because it had gooses on the tap handles. They still have that, right?
Yep.
And that was the first time I ever had it. That was also the most expensive meal of my entire life. Like the steak that I had was like $100 steak, and this is in 2000.
What?
So I remember that very well. Our tab was like $630. We were like, oh my God. We all ordered the special. Whoo, that was special, Dolan.
Yikes.
Wow. Still paying for that, by the way.
Yikes.
What kind of steak was it?
I don't remember that.
It was made of gold.
I was too scared to chew it, I think.
Japanese Wagyu?
Yeah.
I think it was just a plain old steak, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the first time I ever had it, and I remember that very well.
They, if you go to their brewery, the main brewery, the one that has doubled in size, 143,000 square feet, it is a monster. On the one big roll up door, it reads, "We don't need to be the only beer you drink. We just want to be the best beer you drink."
Well, I mean, that's, sounds good.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, you don't want to make junk.
They still own who they are. John Hall is still the CEO. Greg, his brother, left. And
What's he doing? Do we know?
So he
just took
started
the money
he took the money and ran.
Yeah.
No, he started a cider company that then sold to InBev later too. So
Why not? They got
Yeah.
a sister or another brother that's working on seltzers, and then they'll just all be set.
why not? Hey, you know what? Money's money, right? And that's
Hey, the Natty Light seltzer just hit the area the other day around here.
Good Lord.
Sounds, I don't know. Everybody says it's good. We'll
All right.
see.
Hit me with some Octoberfest
Here's some October stuff.
knowledge.
There's a few things I wanted to do some research on, so I'm going to save a couple of those. But just as just brief top level stuff, there really are two styles of beer that we would call Octoberfest.
Okay.
There's this style, which is Marson, right? Which is this caramely color. It's a maltier flavor. It's sweet. It's a little bit bitter, but not much, right?
Okay.
And then there's the version that they actually drink at Octoberfest. And that is basically a lager. It's like a Helles lager. That's what they drink in Munich at Oktoberfest.
Really?
So this is junk. This is nothing. We could dump this out. This is not what you would go. If we went to Germany this year on September 16th,
Okay.
and we drank big liters of Oktoberfest beer, we'd be able to see right through it.
It wouldn't be this at all.
Nope, it would be a cross-strain Helles lager.
Okay.
Berenstein Bear or whatever they call that.
Bernstein Burr.
Very similar to that, yes. I mean, that's what it is. So we've Americanized it. We like sweetness.
Yep,
So this is the style that we do. Originally, 100 and something, I think it started 1810 was the first time they had a beer fest in Munich. It was, the beers were dunkel, so darker than this.
Oh, wow.
Right? And then they started getting lighter malts and lighter malts and lighter malts. And then 180 years later, they're drinking clear beer for Oktoberfest.
Probably because you drink so much of it, and if you drink a lot of this, you'd be pretty hammered by noon.
Maybe.
Okay.
But I think it's the same alcohol amount. I mean, this is only 5.7.
The Helles Lager would be like a...
Yeah, it's like 5.5 probably.
Okay.
So it's not so much about alcohol. It's just more about changing tastes and appearances, I think. Just the look of the beer. But this is this is what homebrewers decided to make, this style.
Okay.
And that's what has become the commercial Oktoberfest beer we see here. So Marzen's is a style that they make all year round. Technically, this is a beer style that you could make any time,
So I could get this in the summer?
depending on who's making it. Now, most places only brew it to tie up with this time of the year. This is one of the few beers where it's not so much seasonal, but like on a calendar
Okay.
it's brewed for, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So you, in theory, could get a Marzen anytime. It's not like there's some rule that says you can't brew this right now, right? So it's just a marketing thing for us. And over there at Munich, at the actual thing, there are 6 official breweries that are allowed to make beer for the Oktoberfest.
Okay.
And these are ones you've probably had or would know about. But it's Polliner, Spaten,
Yes.
the one that Mr. Spees was telling us today, Hacker Shore,
Hacker Shore.
P-S-E-H-O-R-R,
Okay.
Augustiner,
Okay.
Hofbrau, and Lowenbrau.
Lowenbrau.
Yep, that's the 6th one.
With the lions.
Yeah.
My dad drank Lowenbrau.
That was a big beer around the 70s that was
Yeah.
here, 70s and 80s.
Huh.
And you could still find it every once in a while. You've seen them in the little kegs. You'll see that around this time of year. You can find a little keg of Lowenbrau
Interesting.
beer. So those are the 6 breweries that make Oktoberfest beer for Munich, for the Oktoberfest. And those are like the only legit official ones.
The Germans are weird about how they have the rules and the.
Well, they're the ones that came up with the beer rules.
I
They're the ones
guess.
that said this is the standards it has to meet to be considered these types of beers. They've been the ones making beer for 600 years.
I guess you've been doing it that long. You can make up some rules. Yeah, that's fine. They're responsible for virtually every style of beer that we've drank so far already. It seems like.
That, or it's been a spread of something. It's been we've deformed it in a way to make it American. We love to do that, change it up a little bit.
Of course.
There are probably not a whole lot of milkshake IPAs in Munich, Germany, but boy, you can go around here and find a bunch. So.
Yes.
All right, so I like to do unexpected research, and I gave you just a tease of Goose Island.
Yep.
So I'm going deep cuts on you a little bit. I'm going Chicago.
Oh.
Because this is where this is from, and one of my favorite things to talk about is music, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, to me, Chicago is where Wilco's from.
Oh.
Wilco the band.
There's a lot of people out there that are not familiar with Wilco.
That's because they're not that big. I mean,
Yep.
they're kind of big. I would consider them, I think they've embraced this term, but they are the quintessential dad rock band,
Okay. Yeah.
which is like really good instrumental playing. Their guitar player, Nels Klein, is basically an alien that came here from the outer space and was able to play guitar in a way that is unbelievable, and I cannot comprehend it. You can watch him play the stuff he does, and in the way he does, he is a genius, like certifiable genius when
Yeah?
it comes to guitar.
Dolan, you a Wilco fan? You like Wilco?
I have no clue who Wilco is.
Oh my God, get out of here. Oh, jeez.
Wow.
So here's the thing about Wilco. I'll just give you the short, and this is
All right.
even the topic I'm really covering.
I am
but
definitely going to check them out after this, though.
I got you hooked up.
He's not a dad, so I think we can
But
give him a
that's
pass.
okay. We'll give him a pass.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They started out as an alt-country band.
Weird.
They were in Jeff Tweedy's the main songwriter for Wilco,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in a band called Uncle Tupelo with another guy.
I've heard of this.
So in the mid-'90s,
Uh-huh.
they had a couple albums out, and they were getting some popular, some songs that were popular.
Mm-hmm.
They did a song that's credited with a magazine called No Depression. So it's like an alt-country music mag that's been around forever and ever and ever, and it's like a genre of tunes now. Then that band broke up, and they split off, and one guy went to make the band Sonvolt, and the other guy went to Wilco, and that's Jeff Tweedy.
I love Sunvolt too. That was a great band.
And they're still around.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about Wilco today specifically for the album Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, and you'll see why in just a second.
Yankee Hotel
Foxtrot. Yes. So do you know what that means, or where it comes from?
YHF.
Yeah.
Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. YHF. No.
So it's from something that they called a number station,
Okay.
which is basically a way back in the day that they would send either military or other messages. They were coded, so words meant other things. So as long as you knew what the meaning of the thing was, you could talk to somebody about something.
Okay.
So if there's a secret thing you want to tell me, and you know somebody's listening, then you have code words for something else. So there were these recordings, and they would play them on stations, and there was like compilations of them, and for some reason Jeff Tweedy was listening to it, and on one of them this lady just says Yankee Hotel Foxtrot like 4 times in a row, and he's like, good album name.
Oh, album name. Do we know what it meant?
No, nobody really knows what it means.
I was just waiting for that.
It's just a code. It was a coded phrase that nobody knows.
Bomb the Germans.
Could be something like that,
Maybe.
or it could have been pick up Popeye's chicken sandwiches.
Possibly that too.
This was their 4th album, and it was their biggest album of all time.
Okay.
And this is why you don't know about them. They only sold about 600,000 copies of this record. So it's certified gold. It's not even a platinum.
Yeah, okay.
It's reached number 13 on the Billboard charts.
Okay.
Number 493 out of the best 500 albums of all time. It's kind of how I found out about Wilco. They'd had 3 albums before that were very alt country, and that wasn't my scene at that point in time. And then with this one, it was all over everywhere. And I was like, all right, well, this is every magazine I subscribe to says this is the best album of the year. I'm going to pick it up.
Sure.
I listened to it a couple times, and I was like, this is not for me. No, there was one song on it that was cool, and I was like, this isn't for me. And then their next album, I checked that out, and then I was like, whoa, mind blown. My whole everything changed about it. And I've been a Wilco fan ever since.
Did you go back to the original one you listened
yeah.
to and like listen to it like with different ears? I mean, is that a different? Okay.
I mean, this is I mean, it's weird to see their progression of music because it starts out real alt country, and then it kind of crests here, and then this Nels Klein guy I was talking about joins the band, and this other guy leaves the band, and they become like an experimental band, and then there's some like 9-minute songs with 6 minutes of instrumentals in the middle with some lyrics that don't make a whole lot of sense. And it's so great. I love it.
Okay.
So on their album cover, there is a picture of, it's like an upward shot like this, of Marina City, the towers.
Okay.
You know what that is?
I've heard of it. Yes.
So that's actually what my research is.
Okay.
Because it's in Chicago. So
that was a windy road to get to.
It is,
that.
but I wanted to sneak Wilco in.
Okay.
Because that's how we're getting here.
Yeah.
Marina City, if you've ever watched I see it all the time when they do the NBA games, if they're in Chicago, on TNT, they'll always show like a cityscape shot, right?
Yes.
At nighttime when they come back from the commercials. It's always on the river, and they always can see those towers.
Yes.
The Marina City towers.
Is
So
it the one
that's-
with the two
Yep.
spiky things?
They look like corn cobs,
sticking up?
basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I did research on.
That's why it sounds familiar.
Because I think it is so cool. And it's on the river tours. If you ever go to Chicago and you're by the Loop, that's right where this is.
Which I would highly suggest. We've done the boat tours.
You went right past this.
I would highly suggest this.
It was designed by like a world famous architect. His name was Bertrand Goldberg. And he won an award for this design. Started working on it in 1959, the design for it. And it was completed in 1967.
Okay.
So that's when people were starting to kind of move in.
59 to 67. So 8 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing about it was a way to, they called it, they were trying to stop white flight. So white people were living in downtown Chicago post-war.
Okay.
And then by the 50s, like everywhere, suburbs started happening, right? And people with money and houses were leaving to get more space. They didn't want to live in an apartment or whatever. They wanted to go out and have a yard and a grill and all that sort of stuff. That's the American dream now.
White picket fence and
Exactly. So this was a way that was intended to make it so that those sorts of folks and professionals wouldn't want to leave downtown Chicago.
okay.
It's basically billed as a city within a city. And that's why it's called Marina City. So it's got 2 towers. So everything I'm going to tell you is duplicated, right? So it's the same in this one as it is in this one.
Okay.
And then there's 5 buildings total. So there's the 2 towers. There was an amphitheater, like auditorium in the middle. There was a movie theater. And then there was another building that housed like, in the wintertime, they had a skating rink on the top.
Oh.
And then below it, there's the river access to the actual marina. So if you lived there, you had a little boat, you could keep it right there. The design of this building was basically so you would never have to leave it. There was office building inside of it. They had movie theaters. They had grocery store. They had retail stores. They had swimming pool. They had bowling alleys. Anything you'd want to do was in this building. It had
I would want to live there.
like 10 floors of parking was the first 10 floors of the building.
Okay.
And then after that, there's 50-something floors of apartments. So there's, let's see, I wrote it down, I think. There's 900 total apartments.
Jeez.
And when they first moved into it, which was 65, that was the first time people moved into it.
Okay.
And it was like state of the art at that point in time.
I bet.
Was this all city owned, or did somebody?
Just some company decided.
Some
It was
company.
like, was actually some unions, like construction unions are the ones that funded this.
Imagine
to
that.
basically, A, get some jobs.
Yeah.
And B, have, something to claim that they built in this area. It was also a way to try to make it less industrial at that point in time. The river was basically trashed, and it was all like factories and not a place that anybody would really want to hang out. So they were trying to like change the vibe of Chicago in that spot.
Unions in Chicago, that never happened.
That's probably the mob involved back in that time too with this. Who knows?
Sure.
The thing I thought was kind of cool about it, at that time it was the tallest residential building in the world, like people that lived in it.
Oh.
Because it was up 60-something floors high, right? It was also the tallest, like, reinforced concrete building. So there's no steel. It's all Chicago concrete is what builds this towers.
Concrete and rebar.
Yeah. There's no, like, steel beams or anything like that. And then it was just until, like, maybe 2 years later, another design was like, you know what? We're just going to do what you did, but double it. And that's how it worked.
Oh.
So then it was short-lived that they were the tallest, but they were, like, the first.
Okay.
Had 2 TV stations broadcasting off the top of the building because it was so tall, and a radio station as well. Let's see, what was the other thing that was cool? Oh, yeah. The parking is still there, the parking spots.
Okay.
So if you work in that area, you can pay monthly parking and park in this thing.
Parking in Chicago is hell. So
Right.
this is probably very beneficial.
They're exposed. So there's not, you could drive off of it. It's just like a ledge, right? And it's like basically it looks like a honeycomb of parking spots. And you just drive it up and then you park face forward and then back out and drive back down.
Well.
But there's been a few cars that have went off the edge. The 61st story, I think, is the top that you can get to. There's some, like the TV towers and stuff above that, but there's a 360-degree deck that's up there, open air, at the very top. 1977, it switched from apartments to condos.
Okay.
But it was like, if you picture 1960s America, and the look of that and the like modern design, this is what this whole thing was. It's like basically a museum. And the thing that I like about it is still very similar to that. So the outside is the same, and the inside is kind of like, if you're into that vintage and modern look, you try to live here on purpose. You're hardly any of the apartments are updated.
Wow.
So they still have a lot of the same stuff from the 60s, and that's the vibe.
Interesting.
And that brings a certain type of person to live there, and I think that's pretty cool.
That is super cool.
Some of the other things that are interesting about these apartments, there's no right angles inside of them.
What?
Because it's built in basically a circle. It's built in a pie shape. So
okay,
Trivial Pursuit, if you consider it 3 pieces, so thirds, that's the shape of the apartments. They have circular hallways that go around the elevators. So the elevator's in the middle of the building.
Sure.
And then everything goes out around it. If that makes sense. So like this is the elevator. These are the apartments.
Yep.
There's 16 per floor apartments.
Okay.
And each one has 175 square foot semicircular balcony. And that's the huge selling point.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a huge
It's a big balcony. Yeah.
There are people that are still living there today. They're like, we don't even know what to do with all this space.
Especially in Chicago. Yeah.
Because of the design, the living room and the bedroom all have balconies. It's just a window wall. So your bedroom has it, and your living room has this view.
Nice.
So even in the wintertime, you can see it. The laundry room was on like the 40th floor. There's a laundry room and a gym.
Okay.
And they say that's the best view of any laundry room in the world because it's right on the loop. You can see all the way downtown Chicago. Like you can see the what's the famous street of like shopping, whatever that's called?
The Gold Coast or the Michigan Avenue.
Yeah, you can see like the Navy Pier and stuff like that. So
love me some Navy Pier.
It says like it has the best view in the world for laundry room. And it's ceiling to floor window on that wall. So everybody has amazing views.
That's awesome.
It's $1,700 right now. That's the most current I could find for a 1-bedroom.
Oh.
Which doesn't seem like that crazy
Chicago,
to
that's
me.
really not that crazy. No.
I wrote down 70% of the 900 are 1-bedrooms. 20% are studios, and only 10% are 2-bedrooms.
Oh.
So you're not having like families live here.
Nope.
It's going to be like a single professional person.
Yep.
Or, a married couple with no kids. That's kind of who's living in these places.
Yep.
The research I did found 5 people from the original. I lost microphone. There it came back. 5 people from the original move-in from the 60s to now. We're still living
Still
there.
live there.
So, yeah. So they never moved out.
Wow.
I don't know if it was like rent protected, like New York City or anything, but that'd be pretty cool if it was.
Those 5 people are still paying like $400 a month or something like that. They're still just, exactly. Why would you ever move?
Grandfathered in.
Yep.
So there's people that have moved to Chicago just to live in this building. One of them is an architecture photographer.
Okay.
One of them was like an art installation person, like he did famous art stuff. And one of the guys, the photographer, has a book out, and he documented as many of the apartments as he could, like recently within the last 5 years, to show what the inside style looks like versus the outside, and how it has changed and how it hasn't, and just to show the contrast between, like, let's say you and me move in there and we gut the whole place, and we've got our big plasma screen TVs and all that, or LEDs, I guess they would be now, or whatever. But
Right.
then there's the next door neighbor is pink countertop, pink stove, no TV, only a turntable, that sort of. So it's like a time machine, basically. This whole complex is.
That's cool.
There's at least one documentary about this that I've found and seen, and it's pretty cool. And that's where I heard about it, was on PBS. The other thing that I thought was kind of cool about it was nowadays it's very commercialized. Instead of the movie theater that was in-house, it's a House of Blues now in Chicago. So they have a lot of shows there, and like famous people play, which I don't know if it was B.B. King owns part of that. I think he does.
Interesting.
House of Blues, there's a hotel, it's just called Hotel Chicago, so you can stay there, which would be pretty sweet. I'd like to do that. It's like a boutique hotel, not very many rooms. There's something called 10-pin bowling, which is like hipster bowling, it looked like, from what I could tell on their website. And then there's 4 restaurants. 3 of them were very fancy, and the other one was like Dick's Last Resort. That was the 4th, which I feel like is probably a tourist.
Very touristy
thing. And then this tower, like I said, it showed up on the Wilco album in 2002. And it's also on an album cover from Sly and the Family Stone from 1971, called Riot Going On. So those are some of the pop cultural spots in music. And then if you watch the Bob Newhart show from the 70s, where he's like the psychologist.
Yes.
The beginning credits of his show this as well as the current show, Chicago PD, shows it in the background. So you'll see it there.
Interesting.
But yeah, long story short, it's cool. Go check it out.
I want to visit this place.
If you like 50s and 60s architecture and that vintagey sort of feel, then this is something you want to look at. Just to find the vintage pictures I was looking at today.
Yep.
I was like, I wish I could. If there was like a time machine where you could go and just see it just for a little bit, I would go to this place for sure. So that's...
I had no idea.
What I know.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly where it is. I've driven past it 100 times.
Yeah.
I had no idea the story.
Designated one of the top 100 Chicago landmarks or something like that. So it's like a protected building now.
Yeah.
And it still functions today.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's what I know about Marina City.
And I bet they drink some Goose Island there.
I would guess you could get it at the House of Blues.
The last little bit of information that ties back to kind of what we do here is I thought this was super interesting. So 10 Goose Island veterans have left to start other breweries.
That's quite a few. That sounds like Arias.
Exactly, right?
Right.
That's exactly what
Parallels,
I thought about.
Yeah.
So could you guess maybe some of these that have left? One or two, I think you could probably get one or two.
Well, I don't know the name. Like the brewery names or people's names?
The brewery names. The brewery names.
What's that one? Revolution?
Exactly, yes.
That's got to be
Ding,
one
ding,
of them.
ding.
What's the one that makes Corey Anderson's favorite beer?
Not Juice Pants. No,
Not
the
that
place
one?
that makes Juice Pants. No. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. If you're in Chicago and you can get your hands on some Juice Pants,
If you can get your hands in the pants, do it. And Son of Pants.
and Son of Juice Pants,
That
oh,
one's
my
really good
goodness.
too.
Yeah,
Sounds dirty, but
it's
it's not.
gonna set you back like $10 a can,
Yeah.
but
Well, you're in Chicago.
You're in
What the
Chicago.
heck? I don't know.
This
What
is all
else?
great advice. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. What else would you? I don't know. I don't know that many Chicago breweries. I don't ever go there anymore.
Firestone Walker.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know they
not
were
a
from
Chicago brewery, I don't think.
There.
But,
Oh yeah, but he left to go there. I think it's in California. But
dude left. Yeah.
okay.
Southern Tier.
Really?
Yep.
Southern Tier.
Yes.
Well, I guess this was the time when this was becoming besides Sam Adams, this was really the biggest craft brewery in America. That makes sense.
Yep.
Southern Tier. Wow.
Then you said Revolution, which is interesting. Revolution, if you're in Chicago, we'll do a Revolution beer here pretty soon. But
Okay.
if you're there, this is definitely one you should go. You should go check out this beer.
Their label on their can work is just amazing.
Oh.
Their artwork is so cool.
And their beer is
It's pretty
pretty
good.
top notch.
Yeah.
And then Fremont Brewing, which I've heard of. I don't know if I've ever tried any of theirs.
I know of Fremont. I don't know if that's them, but there's one that makes really good stouts. Maybe that's them.
So Goose Island Oktoberfest on the old Untapped. Let's 61,000 check-ins.
That's quite a few, but
Quite a
not
few.
not as many as some we've had.
You checked this in back in 2013.
Ooh, 6
So
years ago.
6 years ago. I'm going to guess it's probably changed a little bit since then.
Oh, if it was high, it probably has changed.
At Henry's on the South. Where's Henry's on the South?
Oh, it's in Lincoln.
Let's go look.
Was a beer? It was an Octoberfest I went to.
Yeah.
So they had this beer. They had like 10 or 12 different ones.
Okay.
It's a little mom and pop like strip mall shopping center in Lincoln. It's right next to Leon's grocery store, which has the best steaks in Lincoln. If you're going to grill steaks, go
Interesting.
there. And there was a ticket. It was like $10 to get in.
Okay.
And then you still had to buy your beers, but they had food and they had polka music. And so, yeah, that I know exactly when this was.
So
This was also the year. Yeah, this was the first year they had it there. The second year was the last year they had it there.
this is a super interesting description. Toffee and burnt sugar aromas. Mm-hmm. So I guess, yeah. Flavors of
Yeah.
sweet, dried apricots, and mild, earthy bitterness that is the hallmark of Hallertau.
Hallertau hops.
Hallertau hops. Medium-bodied, medium carbonation. A dry malt body delivers sweet, dried fruit flavors, complemented with an earthy bitterness.
Well, Dolan's had a little bit more than a little carbonation. His was pretty bubbly.
His
So
was
that'd
bubbly.
have been could have been the pour.
That was the
Pour.
61,000 check-ins. What do you think?
What did I rate it as?
You rated it
3.4.
3.5.
Yeah, I'll stand by that. Actually,
I said 3.4. Yeah,
3.4. You're close. It's 3.54.
yeah,
So right on it.
yeah. I think that's where I would rate this again. It's drinkable. I'm not mad that I have some.
Yep.
If I was in an airport and it was 7:30 in the morning and I was going to Vegas,
Yep.
I would drink this. Now I'm not going to go to the store and buy a 6-pack of it right now. I would get. There's a couple other ones that I would do. We're not going to try it for the show, but I will throw a plug out there.
Okay.
This is also it's a macro, but it's still craft, I believe.
Okay.
Sierra Nevada's Oktoberfest. That thing is legit. This year is way better than last year.
Really?
I was going to say, I saw it on the shelf yesterday, 2 days ago.
I
Yeah.
just saw it on the shelf yesterday for the
I
first
saw
time.
it on my beer shelf in my fridge this yesterday and today. So you can find it there. What's going on? Are we getting
Something was beeping at us. Well, it looks to be about that time.
Yeah, it does
I don't
look
want
to be that time.
I don't want you to get in trouble. So
Yeah, well, you're the boss, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
I'm not too worried then.
All right, we got time for one more. Brian,
Yeah, let's do this, huh?
we ain't going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer, an Oktoberfest beer.
Another Oktoberfest beer.
All right.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.